Hello, and welcome to 10 Very Big Books, a Malazan Readthrough podcast. Today on the show, we're reading Deadhouse Gates, chapters 11 and 12. My name is Peter Bond, and I've read each book in the main series. However, my two co-hosts are reading the series for the first time. With me today is my friend and closest confidant, India Jones.
Good morning, y'all.
And somebody that it's exhausting to continuously come up with nicknames for, Joshua Dean Baker.
Throw my middle name in there, giving out my whole government.
Yeah, they can steal your social security now.
Well, joke's on them.
Okay.
Yeah.
We were just talking, well, I guess we should say, thanks so much to Stephen Erickson for coming on the show. It's our first time recording since we talked to him, and it was an awesome opportunity. It was it was a congenial talk, and we were glad to be able to put that out for everyone.
It was the sweetest of treats.
He really lives up to the stereotype of being a nice Canadian. He was just so genuinely sweet.
Yeah. Plus, it was great to talk about Gardens of the Moon that way and kind of just prod at him about the series in whole and kind of his larger career.
And of course, we did love destroying Tolkien, and we feed off your rage. So
yeah,
thank you.
Throwing out some Frodo bombs, But the only thing is, now that we were discussing a fear before we started recording, and that how to put it, I'm almost certain that I'm gonna botch a ton of the pronunciations. And Steve very kindly pointed us in the right direction, but I'm gonna, the idea that I'm gonna stop saying Tisty Andy and Ticed Andy is gonna be a hard switch for Pete. But here's trying,
Yeah, I just feel like it's just going to be butchered all over again. And for that, I want to apologize in advance.
See, that's what
I wrote all of them down, and I have the document up because I'm a good podcast person. So
I'm just trying to apologize, man. It's because I just know, because now in theory, we should know better. Do you know what I mean?
I do know better. I'm ready.
In theory, we learned something.
In theory, we should have studied this.
Yeah.
In preparation.
We should have cracked open the textbooks.
I agree. I too agree. But with that said...
Well, before we get into it, I did want to ask the two of you, I want to do a little mid-book check-in, because we're about halfway through, and, throughout Gardens of the Moon, we talked a lot about how you were just feeling about reading the book a lot, and we haven't had as many of those conversations yet during this book, so I'd just love to just check in about how we're feeling about Deadhouse Gates about halfway through the book.
India, do you want to go first?
No, it's all you, man.
All right. I would say that Deadhouse Gates feels so incredibly good to read in terms of it's an incredible book, but also it makes me unbearably sad almost every sentence I read because of how bad of a situation nearly every character is in, and it really gets me down some days.
Yeah.
But, the writing's top-notch.
I do know what you mean, and sometimes it's almost impressive how every character seems to go from bad to worse to somehow a new level of worse often. Inge, how are you feeling about halfway through this book?
I like it better for sure. I like the story better, but I think, even from our last conversation where Steve was talking about, I purposely place things here so you'll think one thing, but then the other thing happens, and he was like, but India, you wouldn't really realize that's happening because you don't read fantasy. I'm still there, where it's just I'm sure things are being said. There was a moment actually in chapter 11 where I was like, this was probably such an exciting revelation for Josh and Peter when they read it. And for me, I'm just like, oh, okay. But with that said, I still really, really like the book, without being able to realize all of the tropes and,
But even outside of the tropes, do you think you're, I know Gardens of the Moon, there was a lot of struggling. Do you feel like there's an equal amount of struggling in this book, specifically in regard to maybe grasping the story and the world, or what do you think?
Yeah, so the story, I think, is easier to follow. I think,
hands down.
I lied. Yes,
I do agree. I think the story is much more straightforward.
Yeah, but there's an underlying story that I know is relevant that I don't know at all. That I can't even, this whole Shaikh business and the whole, and what this book is about, I don't know. But the stories that I'm, the story as it is, I don't know, they're day to day, I guess, in the chapters, I can follow, where they're going. But the whole overarching point of this book is still, it's that's about the revelation that I think they had in chapter 11, where I'm like, I think that's probably a really big revelation. But for me, it's like, okay, well, I'm not really sure what this means, but let's keep going.
Mm.
So yeah, way easier to read. However, the overarching theme is still lost to me, but I like it a lot better.
Interesting. Yeah, I know what you mean. I think the part of it is that the immediate story within the characters, I think, is much clearer in the book. I mean, like we're anchored to a few more plot lines, and it's I think it's easier to follow in that way. Where Gardens of the Moon is a little more spread out, and it's a little murkier sometimes of where you're going. Although I feel like in hindsight, it's much. It's very easy for me to describe Gardens of the Moon in like 2 paragraphs, but it doesn't feel that way when you're reading it, At least not for me.
Yeah, I still couldn't, I don't think. But I am excited to find out what all this is about, like what they're all working toward. Because in the last book, I feel like it was a lot easier to realize, okay, this is what they want to happen, which I guess... I don't know. This one, it's like, I have no idea. What are we doing, guys? Where are we going?
Now, I will say, India, I do have a sneaking suspicion that we won't actually understand exactly what has happened in this book until book 10 is over, just based on everything Steven said.
Yeah, I agree. He's like, yes, the man who was speared to the chair, that was there for a reason.
You're going to revisit this from 2 directions. And I was like, how?
Yeah, right? I'm like, I'm so excited. I'm excited for when it happens too. And you guys are going to be like...
and the spear-id, like, are those the two?
This time it's from the point of view of the chair.
Oh.
Yeah, right? There was a fly on the wall in that scene.
I was getting ready to say that.
But I just can imagine, like, I don't know, 6 books from now, you guys are going to be like, oh my God, remember that? And I'm going to be like, not at all. Nope.
Or maybe you will, Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, it came from Steve, so I probably will remember it, but...
There we go.
Alrighty, let's get into it. I was glad to hear your thoughts, though, but let's start talking about Chapter 11. Chapter 11. On the Solanda, our heroes look for a way out of the flooded warren. Culp attempts to use his warren Mayanus, but it is difficult. An undead dragon appears, massive and flying overhead. They ride under its wake as Culp draws them into the Shadow Warren. Ascendants and the dragon help Culp heal the way, but then this power leaves him. Felicen watches as they pass through a fiery warren to land back in 7 cities. They jump overboard from the ship, so the Marines in the burning Solanda do not travel with them. It is Felicen, Bowden, Haboric, and Culp. Culp inquires about Bowden's presence, identifying him as a protector of Felicen. Bowden is revealed to be a Talon, a counterpart to Lassine's Claw. The Talon worked outside of the Empire and answered to Dancer. The Talon have been mostly called, however, some of their descendants remain. Tavor had hired Bowden to watch after Felicen. Felicen sends Bowden away, feeling betrayed in more ways than one. Haboric and Culp remain with her in the desert. Within the Temple of Shadow, Mappo and Fiddler are trying to divine Iskarl Pust's true plan. First, they consider if High House Shadow has brought Apsalar to 7 cities so that she may become the host for the Whirlwind Goddess. Her animosity against the Empire and skills would make her a powerful tool for Shaik's resurrection. Alternatively, they speak of the Path of Hands, wondering if they are to intervene to stop the Soul Taken and Divers. They seek ascendancy to form an empire of shapeshifters. Finally, they speak of Icarium and his obsession with time. They return to Crocus, choking Iskarl Pust. The High Priest of Shadow tried persuading Apsalar to become Shaik. Iskarl and Apsar leave the room. Icarium joins them and they discuss the possibilities of Servant. They believe Pust's servant to be Apsalar's father, abducted by Shadow Throne at the same time of Sari's abduction. Servant has been sent towards Shaik's corpse as bait, and Apsalar is following. Icarium and Mappo discuss Tremolor, calling it time aspected. They also wonder how much of Apsalar's presence on 7 cities was planned. Icarium feels so close to remembering who he is. He feels Mappo is holding him back somehow. Kalam and the Malazan family encounter Corblo Dom's renegade army. Kalam wants to sneak through the camp, but they cannot. He uses a stone, a magic gift from Quickbend, to open a path into the Imperial Warren. They enter together and travel into the unknown, with the intention of getting to Aaron. Before the rift into the Imperial Warren closes, the Red Blade Lostara Yil finds them. She follows them into the Warren, but not before encountering the Imperial Claw Pearl. The Claw are also tracking Kalam. They will travel together into the Warren. Last but not least, the demon Apt appears. After saving crucified children, including a mutilated boy he now carries, Apt speaks with Shadowthrone. Shadowthrone heals the boy and other children, and they speak of a Scarl Pusk. Then he sends Apt into the Imperial Warren. Inju, you said it was a good chapter. A lot happened in it. It was a big one, and I'd be curious to what you enjoyed about it, and maybe pick a storyline and we can talk a bit about it.
I guess we'll pick. I want to go in order, even though what I was actually interested but also most confused by was the Icarium, Mappo, Crocus, Absolar thing, but we'll get there.
Sure.
So I'll start at the beginning. So the ship that they're on is called, what is it?
The Solana.
The Solana. Okay, I thought that was the name
Solanda, maybe.
Yes, well, I thought that was the name of the dragon thing. That's weird. But anyway.
Oh yeah, Solana is the red dragon. This is the Solanda. You
What?
got me.
There was a red dragon named Solana? Oh, from the first book.
Yeah.
And then there was a dragon that was dead, so I was like, one and the same?
I see.
Okay, so what the hell was with that dragon? Why was it there? How did wait, okay. So this is the shape-shifting Warren thing, right? So they
talk a bit about the undead dragon in the next chapter when they're in the kind of city of shapeshifters.
Right. But how do they get through? Like, I just don't understand how they get through.
India, I'll explain magic, and that is about as good of an explanation as I can get.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's an all right explanation to sit in. There's some complicated collisions there that some of them befuddle me, but I'm starting to grasp it.
The only thing that I can kind of get out of it is that Culp he uses like illusion magic, right?
Right.
And he was kind of like, well, if you just believe it's real, it will be. And then he somehow opened a rift into the Shadow Warren when the undead dragon came. He used the undead dragon's power to kind of like open a rift into the Shadow realm. And then the dragon
They're
kind
like
of
drifting, you know?
Yeah, and then I don't know what that means. But anyway, so then the dragon...
Like Fast and Furious, Mario Kart?
This makes no sense.
And then it doesn't. But so
I don't feel
the
bad
dragon,
for not understanding
the dragon
this.
opens a rift into the Warren. They follow it. Some stuff happens. I don't really get it. And then they're out.
Okay, fair. All right, fine.
Yep.
So it really makes because he was like praying. He was like, guys, get me out of here. I don't know how to get out. And then suddenly they were out, and they were all on fire, and then they weren't on fire at all. So
they jump off the ship because the ship's engulfed.
Yeah, but then they weren't burned.
Yeah, I didn't get
it
out. I didn't get that either.
I mean, that section was what it was. Is it possible that we could just and then I guess the Talon thing where
that was big. Because I assume I had fallen right into Erickson's trap, but the moment that, let me get his name correct, Bowden, the moment that Bowden had like Felicin, the moment that Felicin found the claw, the thingy in Bowden's thing, I thought that meant he was a claw. Even though she may have called it. I recall. Even though, I was like, oh, it's just so easy. He's obviously a claw. This is so... And then it's like, no, you idiot. You fell from... You've activated my trap card. He's a Talon. Like, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So now that they land and they're on the Seven Cities mainland, and they kind of... Felicin ends up sending Bowden away after it's revealed that he's a Talon.
She's an idiot, and everything I said about her so far is true. She's the worst.
Why is she
well, she's
like,
a bratty
so
teen
it?
in a really shitty scenario, so like it can be forgiven a little, but
no, I think why was she's
so upset that her sister sends her to a slave colony and like also sends a dude to protect her. I don't know. I can see feeling like, well, you should have not sent me into enslavement in the first place.
Well, that's a little misplaced. I mean, he didn't send her. He literally just made sure she didn't die. So thanks.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't agree, but whatever. Made no
I'm not
sense.
saying I agree. I just she's got some sister beef.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
I know, but why would you send away the person that has like kept you alive, and he kept you alive even into this moment? You would have died because you just
Also,
like stand
why
there.
did so like and was were his from his perspective? What were his instructions? Like, protect her, do whatever you must, unless she figures it out. In which case, a simple go away and you can leave. Like,
Yeah, literally.
like if your job is to fucking stay and protect her, tell her like, fuck you, I'm staying and protecting you.
You cracked the puzzle. I must leave.
But
Yeah.
granted, if somebody told me I will never stop trying to kill you, I'd be like, all right, fair, bye, gotta go.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, she basically said that like she hates.
She
everything-
literally said,
her-
I will
she
never
hates his
stop
guts.
trying to kill you.
Yeah.
And then it's just Habora Culp and Phyllis in there in the desert, and they're on their own. So Josh, let's pivot in towards the Temple of Shadow. Mm-hmm. Mappo and Fiddler are spilling the tea. We're in the full on gossip section. They're talking about Icarium. They're talking about Apsalar. Talking about the Soul Taken. Like, we're really just hashing into what could be going on on this continent. You know?
Yeah.
So my question to Josh is, they throw out a bunch of possibilities. What do you think is going on?
I'm glad you asked, Peter.
It's a good question.
I don't know. During this section, I was just clicking on for dear life. I was like, oh, this is so many options. Why can't you just do? Why can't one of these just happen? I mean, like,
I bet it's none of the above.
Iskarol. It does make sense to me that Iskarol Pust is trying to. Like, it makes sense that he wants Apsalar to become the new Shaik. And totally makes sense, like the way that all fantasy, like, so much of like when fantasy prophecies go awry, there's always like one word that means not what you think, and so like Shaik was like, I shall be reborn, thinking she just would gain power, and really it's like, no, you'll fucking die, and then some other human, we will take their body. And so like that, I mean, it really makes that tracks so much. Like, it's like, I could really see that happening. The idea of Servant being Apsalar's father, it's like, oh, all these hints. I like when they said the boat thing, I guess if I had gone back to chapter, or the prologue of Guardians of the Moon, I would have been like, ah, yes, this is her father. But like, like what? That's fucking crazy.
If you re-examine the Itko Khan scene from like Guardians of the Moon chapter 1, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous. And they're like, well, his arm did appear to be new. What the fuck does that mean, Mappo? What's
It was
a
a
new
young
arm?
His arm was
Yeah.
younger. It was
A young
younger.
arm.
It was looking fresh.
It was supple. Like, what does that even mean?
It was a baby's arm.
Oh god, that's such a better image, India. Such a better image. And it does make sense. Also, I hadn't even made the connection that Servant had literally disappeared from the story the moment that Crocus, Apsalar, and the gang like got there. So India,
Yep.
that yawn was something, and my screen decided to full screen you through it. I just saw I saw all of the inside of your mouth from every angle.
You saw all the teeth.
Oh,
all
yeah.
those teeth. I'm mortified.
So, such good teeth. Anyway, speaking of good teeth, Fiddler. You like that segue? It's pretty solid.
did.
Do they mention his pearly whites a lot?
They
I
do.
don't
They do.
recall.
Well, no, it's just a given. Everything about him
Of
just,
course,
just
of course.
points to
he's
it.
He's got to win some smile.
Oh yeah, yeah. But it was really interesting. Here's the thing, though, because this is Steven Erikson, there are two ways that this goes. Right?
Sure.
Option A is, oh well, they gave all these options, but none of them are accurate. Right? And it's like, well, I mean, he could do that. Like, he could just give all these options, and they're also plausible, and none of them are right. And so you go into the next like 4 chapters, like, oh well, I can't believe all of this. But it's also very Erickson to literally fucking tell you the exact thing that's happening, and then you're like, oh, he wouldn't just fucking tell me what's happening. And then the 4 chapters, literally everything he said would happen happens. So like, I don't know. The man, like, is it a con? Is it not a con? I don't know. So,
Ange, let's talk about Mappo and Icarium in a sec, but what do you think about Josh's struggle? Do you have a clear image? Do you think you have a good idea of maybe why Apsalar is on the continent? Was it a big plan, or they really speak about how purposeful her coming to 7 cities has been?
Well, I liked they said like a straightforward plot, which was like Shadow Throne. Like, why would they take away her power? Okay, so they said the one plot, which was, okay, they made her this way so that she could go and like kill Lysine. I don't know.
Like kill the scene.
But then they're like, but wouldn't like how would she get close to her? Wouldn't it be easier for somebody who was like that, still maintains all of the powers of that person, but is like innocent and is like and doesn't seem very threatening or offensive in this moment? I liked that one. I thought that made, and they were like, so it's like a scheme inside a scheme.
But like literally, we saw the scene where Animander Rake was like, Shadowthrone, get the rope out of this girl, and like he didn't like. In what universe did Shadowthrone see this coming and play? Like, it just doesn't feel plausible. Like, that just seems crazy.
Why bring it up? I don't know.
I forget who says it. There's a great dialogue where I think they're talking about a Scarlpust and maybe Shadowthrone. They're like, or they're talking about Scarlpust and Quickbend. They're like, these people, they seem like madmen. They just have plans within plans. A bunch of if this, then that statements, you know?
Yeah.
Classic.
And, you know, it's very interesting, you know, when there's these schemes there and you're not sure what aspects of the scheme are planned, you know? Because Josh, and I think Fiddler brings it up. Now, he's like, well, this exact point. He's like, well, why would Animator Rake, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
You know, so
it's crazy.
I do think it's interesting, too, to have the characters in the story kind of hashing out the plot.
Yeah,
do you know
it's
what I
so
mean?
weird. It's so freaking weird, but it's so enjoyable.
Yeah, it's pretty
They're just
annoying.
as confused as we are. They have no idea.
Yeah. So Josh, before we pivot away, Mappo and Icarium have a little bit of a talk, and we haven't dived that into this duo in a bit. I would love to know.
I will succinctly summarize my exactly what I think and know about Icarium and Mappo. You ready?
Sure, hit me.
Nothing.
Okay.
I thought
You're similar to Icarium.
This is the only thing the only thought I have is that Icarium is a genocidal mass murderer whose mind was wiped by someone or something, and it's Mappo's job to make sure that he never regains his memories and once again fucking wipes out like a continent's worth of lives. I mean, we saw what a Jaghut tyrant does, and Fiddler mentions Icarium just brutally murdering lots and lots of people and being like this destructive force. But like, who wiped his memories? Why wipe his memories rather than just murdering him? These are questions I don't have answers to.
Well, to cut in on that, you know, like, this is the first time that we've really, Mappo's spoken more about what he's maybe doing, and he speaks about, like, oh, yeah, like, I am here to make sure Icarium doesn't remember, you know, like, he essentially says he's trying to make sure Icarium doesn't remember anything, you know?
My thing is, why does Mappo, because Icarium's like, I guess for the first time it appeared, he's like, well, you know when you're willingly not telling me. And he was like, well, I don't want what I think of you to be your only idea of what you are or something. Like, so it leads me to believe that maybe, I don't know, was he with him?
I don't know. Part of me wonders if Mappo hates Icarium.
Or I think Icarium hates Mappo.
I don't know.
He seems very resentful.
Like, there are moments where there are moments when Mappo says things that make me think he like literally is doing this because it is his job and has zero emotional investment in Icarium. Besides occasionally feeling bad for him, I don't know. I have so many questions. This is the part of the storyline that really Erickson is just like dangling in front of me just out of reach, and I'm like, I don't know. What should I be understanding?
It's like the opposite of like, I don't know. So like maybe he's not the one that like has done anything. Maybe it's like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Mappo is actually the motherfucker.
Yeah, I think it's
What do you think, Peter? Why don't you tell us what you think?
You know, I'm just I'm sitting on the sidelines over here on this one. I think, you know, I'm gonna pivot us away.
Okay.
Although before we go, I mean, let me offer this thought. You know, I do think they have a very complicated relationship, the two of them, and it's something I really like about the storyline. I think the first time I read it, I felt a lot like how you did, because what we're doing or what we're going on is very opaque, you know? And I think it's a very purposeful thing, you know? I think it is somehow mirroring Icarium's experience, you know? And I think it's especially interesting that it's told from Mappo's point of view, but there's, you know, obviously the true state of a lot of things is kind of withheld, you know? Yeah, so I think this time through, I am more interested in that storyline than definitely the first time I was reading it. I enjoy spending time with the two of them. Now, finally, at the end of this chapter, we touch in on Kalam and the Malazan family, and then we see, everyone goes into the Imperial Warren. We still Lostara Yil and Pearl meet up, and then they go into the Warren. And, I know we've been talking a lot about, we made a horse, the art for this season of the podcast. And I gotta tell you, I regret the choice. We should have made Apt the mascot, because Apt's a queen, and I'm here for her.
I would say
that's all I gotta say.
That would have been an apt choice. AJ, guitar riff, AJ.
Incredible reference, Josh. I love Apt, and I love Apt even more because of this chapter.
I mean, but what is apt if not a fucked up horse when you get down to it?
That is true.
Pop that leg in the middle. Combine those two front legs, stand up on those back ones.
Apt is, oh my god, maternal. That's what Apt is.
I just love that she saves the kid, and then she gives sass to Shadowthrone.
Is Apt gendered as female?
Yes.
I think she's gendered in this
gendered.
section.
I didn't catch that. Apt was 100% either
boy.
genderless or a dude for me.
I know.
I think probably more genderless, but listen.
Classic Erickson, honestly.
Yeah. Ugh, that man.
Breaking barriers, one demon at a time.
One demon at a time. So either one of you really, I mean, we all love that. We think, I love her conversation with Shadowthrone too, but we also see Kalam go into there, and then we also see Lostara meet up with Pearl, and we kind of have a new duo that's following them.
Peter, wait, before we go into this, I just need to mention, which we did not mention, she asked Shadowthrone to give that boy one eye like her, and I loved it. It is her child.
She wanted a son. Yeah,
she wanted a son.
Her
but that's
beautiful boy.
Now we can move on.
Also, hold up before we move on. The image of that kid, though, that Kalam sees, fucking horrific.
I couldn't even picture it, to be honest.
I could, and it was. I mean, fucking disgusting. I mean, it was evocative. It really, it evoked an emotional response from me, which was his goal. But, oof.
But I wasn't into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't something I necessarily wanted to feel, but I felt it.
Can I just give a quick thing about the Red Blades?
Sure.
I don't fucking remember any of their names, and they keep being not at all important, and then suddenly supremely important, and it is infuriating.
Agree. I still don't really know who they are.
I don't know which one Lostara Yil is. Did she kill Shaik and was following Kalam? Maybe, but I thought there was more than just her. And also, I just said her name only because it's written in front of me, but the moment that we're done recording, I'm gonna fucking forget it again.
Yep.
I feel like if I'm not having consistent point of view from them, I don't remember their names. I don't remember any of the names of the people traveling with Kalam, because I've literally not been inside their heads.
Oh, don't worry, Josh. The next book will be about Lostara, and we'll hear all about it.
Okay, well, I know for a fact, because Erickson said it, that the next book's with the Bridge Burners, but India, if any of our books is suddenly and now Lostara Yil, the leading actress of this book, I will eat a flip-flop.
But that's legitimately, it's so funny because that's within the purview of the series.
Yeah,
to be
of course it is.
You had one line in one book, and now this next 7 chapters is about you and solely your journey.
Ugh, I would be livid.
Quick Red Blades run down. There are 7 cities.
No, we're done. We're done.
Militia.
Just move on. I don't want it.
Well, they're loyal to the Malazans.
Yes, They're 7 cities natives who are loyal to the Malazans. I know that. I just don't know any of their fucking names.
The red people?
Well, Lostara Yil's the main one to keep track of. She's the one who killed Shake. She followed the Kalam across the desert, and
then there's the
now she
two
hooked up with
brothers
Pearl.
who are now in Coltane's retinue, right? They swooped in during that one fight or something.
Yeah, that's at the end of the next chapter. They dip into let's talk about that then, though.
Okay, sure.
Wait, why didn't that Warren close? That seems a little messed up.
Listen, it's
a little sloppy.
I mean, Quick Ben
7 hours later, still open. Are you kidding?
Quick Ben created some shit, so and it's not like he could test it because I imagine when a Warren is opened to the Imperial, when a rift is open, I imagine someone important finds out, so he probably can't test it, He can't,
That was
you know,
so annoying.
They do speak about, they're like, oh man, this is open longer than we thought it would be.
But
I
also,
think.
like, how powerful is Quick Ben that he can just create an opening into the Imperial Warren? Like, insane.
And he made it a rock.
Also, is the Imperial Warren a man-made warren? Do we know its origins yet? Like, some weird stuff got said about it in this chapter, and it really confused me.
There were some cryptic remarks.
Yes.
And I do like that section where they're like, well, why would you ever make a jewel magic? You know, it's kind of a little meta thing, you know.
What?
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Oh,
Indian knows what I'm talking-
yeah,
Indian
because
knows
like
what I'm
most
talking about.
fantasy novels are like the
Yeah, yeah.
And they're
Emerald
like,
of
obviously someone would
Ashara.
steal a jewel.
Or some
No one would
bullshit.
steal a rock.
Yeah.
Wait, but and then just
Pretty
because I feel
funny.
like this is important in some way, or maybe it's not, but
Sure.
it appears to be to me. So why they still don't know who Kalam is? The people that he's with, Kalam.
They
Clam,
correct,
clam.
they don't yet.
Why is he hiding it?
He's a pretty like well-known guy. I mean, it could just be as simple as they know that if he's here, he's on some weird shit, and they might not want to be with him.
But why does he want to be with them? He doesn't even need them.
I think
And he remarks that at one point.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
he
maybe
said
in the next
he's-
chapter he'd be like, this would be better if they were not here.
And I
Well,
think he-
yeah,
I
and the
think he
girl
even
says
said
that to him. The girl
Yeah.
says it, and he's like, "Well, it's not as easy as you'd think."
I
She's
think
like,
he's
"Why
just,
are you with us?"
I think he's just I think he's being nice, which is like a weird choice for Kalam. You
And
know,
why
a
are
trained
they-
assassin.
I just don't get why he won't tell them who he is. One and two, why is he hiding Apt? But I guess I mean, like, I just don't understand the point of it. Like, why even do all that? Not that it matters, not that it's relevant, just why. But move it. It's just those are just my thoughts.
TM.
What's TM?
I was trademarking your thoughts.
Oh, thank you.
You know, just for posterity's sake, you know. Alrighty, let's keep it moving. You know, chapter 11 was a big one, and that was a good talk about it.
I agree.
Chapter 12. Coltane and 1,000 Wiccans lead the train across the desert. 50,000 refugees in the middle, and the Malazan soldiers on the flank. Duiker travels in the center of the train, speaking with the refugees, until he is conscripted. Along with Captain Lowell, they will battle a Tisanthi war leader that is attacking the train. Nil has found the location of the war leader, and they are preparing to attack. In battle, Duiker is saved by a claw and a female warrior. They return and find that Lull and Nil survived the battle. They report to Coltane about the skirmish with the Tisanthi. Sora Enath speaks of the Semp god, which has been consumed by the land spirits. They speak of the nature of this magic, an older and rawer type. Within these tunnels of magic, they do find fresh water. Being consumed and buffeted by a whirlwind, Felison, Haboric, and Culp seek refuge within a cave. It is difficult to enter, and Culp uses a light to illuminate the hidden cave. Petrified humans surround them. They are within ruins of the First Empire. Haboric speaks of the path of the Soul Taken, and ancient humans favoring this dangerous and difficult path to ascendancy. A ritual had unleashed a plague of soul-taken power on the city, capturing some Talani mass that had come to extinguish the ritual. Together, they find a pool of powerful water. Within the Imperial Warren, our travelers do not know why they have yet to reach Aaron. They find ruins similar to Icarium's timekeeper from Darujistan. There is a trail of humans to the south, and shapeshifters to the north. Kalam asks Keneb about Manala, learning about her troubling marriage. Keneb says he killed the abusive colonel, and Kalam says he would have too. Lostara Yil and Pearl consider their path forward. They slip into the battle next to Coltane's train. They save an elderly Aptorian. Then, battling a Semp demon in a dangerous fight, Apt intervenes. After the battle, Apt returns to the Imperial Warren. Pearl and Lostara Yil follow. In Rariku, Fiddler and Crocus, as well as Mappo and Icarium, are tracking Apsalar. They find corpses with their throats slit and shapeshifters. Fiddler ponders what type of leader Apsalar would be. All the while, the whirlwind howls. loud with laughter. So, Josh, we check in with Coltane and the soldiers, the refugees in the desert. Duiker's in a little skirmish, and to put it mildly, the everyone's in a pretty hard spot. I know they find water at the end of it, but there's certainly things are worse.
Yes.
There's a lot of names in this one that I was so confused about. Like, so many names.
Hold on, AJ, cut this
Okay.
cut this part, AJ. Indy, do you have a cat? I didn't know you had a cat. It's so cute. What's its name?
Oh yeah, she has an adorable cat.
Bella.
What's it?
Oh,
Ella?
Bella.
Ella? Oh, like Twilight.
Yes, that is her namesake.
Incredible. Peter and I
returns to the
visited
podcast.
Forks when on our road trip.
We did visit Forks, Washington.
Yeah,
it's true.
I took a picture of Charlie's truck. It was cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Josh even actually took his shirt off and asked me if he sparkled. So
And we went to there is one shop in the town that exclusively sells Twilight merchandise, and it was sad. The rage has died.
in 2010, I'm sure it was a big spot.
Yeah, but when we went in
exactly.
2016, it was okay. Anyway, back to it. Okay.
Josh, take us back into it.
All right. Yeah. So it's definitely a more muted part of the chapter, because it's told from the perspective of Duiker, who's kind of like clinging on at first, first off, the dude he's with literally falls unconscious from lack of water, in his horse while riding. Duiker's kind of like, we get up, we ride the horses, we stop, we get down, we get back up, we ride the horses again, we stop, we get, he's like, every day is the same shit. Every day, 50 people die. It's kind of really a bummer. It really, it's a really good job of showing how, and because they don't have another option. They either keep moving until they die, or they stop moving and they die. Yeah. So it's rough. It was really interesting. And I did really like in this chapter. It doesn't happen necessarily all at this one part. Actually, maybe it does. But all the stuff about how the Tisanthi war leader is, they think it's the war leader, but when they figure out that it's actually one of those nature spirits that was corrupted by the Semp god, I was like, this is some real cool fantasy shit.
Yeah.
Did not see any of that. And they're like, that's why we can't see the raids coming, because it's being led by a nature spirit, and the nature spirits don't think to look at their own. I don't know. It was really cool. I was big into it. But that being said, when the big, haven't they read fantasy novels? Come on, gang. Don't you know that when the big buff dude with all these, fucking scars and marks walks in, and then, the smaller guy walks in, you always kill the smaller guy. The smaller guy definitely does the magic and is a bigger threat.
It's true that the Semp was doing it.
Also, really, really funny, the one, when he's his mouth was closed, and someone's like, all his holes were closed. I was like, all right, y'all, let's not get gross about it. And it's just so good. I'll get to Indy, I see you about to talk, but my last thought is, I love that his tummy's his weak point. I just of all the places that it's because usually it's he must be stabbed through the heart, or it must go through the brain. They're like, it's his tummy. That's why he's wearing big belts.
If you stab my tummy, I'd be down for the count.
Peter's
my tummy
weak point
away.
is also his tummy.
Yeah, I think people really, if I was in a fight, my first thing I'm aiming for, I'm going to stab you in the tummy is my goal, I think. Or,
maybe.
I want to go
with a knife?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's put Josh's fighting aside for a sec.
On the record, in a Mortal Kombat, I would try and stab my opponent in the tummy, full stop.
So, Inch, how do you think you would fare in this caravan train?
Oh no, I would have died already. I wouldn't even have tried. You know what? Honestly, I probably would have been Lacine's bitch throughout this whole thing, and just trying to.
At least you're honest, India.
And no time for this. But
I too would fully be dead, so there's no worries.
Yeah, I'd be one of the. I hate to say it, but the crucified children. That'd be where Inda would be.
Holy shit.
I wouldn't have made it out alive. But I'm sure Apt would have adopted me. But with that said, I'm so confused. First of all, I think it's abundantly clear that Josh really enjoys the the war scenes or the
I love them.
way more than I do, and I definitely enjoy like the family scene, like the family.
I will tell you, I read a 4 series. I read 4 books in a series that like were absolute. I couldn't get to the 5th. I tried. They were absolute dog shit books. Except for all of the fight scenes, because the guy who writes them, he LARPs like really hardcore in Full Metal Armor. He does that shit. So like the fighting was super, super well described. But then like human beings would talk to each other, and it was just absolute garbage. So yes, I do like the fight scenes.
Yeah. Yes. So for you, I think.
And the fights have not improved for you, then.
No, I hate it. It's so hard to get through this like battle bullshit. Like, and all the whole thing, even when they're just like going and it's like, it sucks. We hate everything. We're all dying. It's like, okay, give me something of substance now. Like, I don't care. So
I get it. You're dying already.
Yeah, like, okay, but it's important to the book, I guess. But so that's where I stand with these parts. It's extremely painful for me to get through. And then I'm always confused because the characters where Duiker are, I don't get them, and I'm not going to, and I'm resolved to that fact. Something that really confused me though was this Semk, the little person. Right?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Okay. Why does he have the name of the god? One, right?
Well, it's like it's the name of the tribe.
Yeah.
So it's like the Semp god, and this is a Semp, you know.
And so why was he so? And so he was using the power of the god still, or no?
Yeah, the dead god was consumed by the spirits, so they were like quasi corrupted. Some of them.
I don't know what that
so
means.
then, like the land spirits, you know. So then, like
But I thought they killed it.
It was acting through. Yes, but its body was consumed, so therefore,
its power.
It's like power is still dwelling in the land spirit. You know.
Yes. Okay. I was so confused by that. All right, that's it.
Yeah, there's some more nitty gritty magic stuff
and
there.
Is Nil the little boy? That's a man.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, there's multiple boy warlocks.
And Nell is the girl warlock, right? Nil and Nell, isn't that their names?
There's Nether and Nil.
Nether, that's her name.
And which one's
Nil is the boy.
genders?
I thought Nil was the boy.
I'm not 100% on.
I feel pretty strongly
where did Nether
that
go?
Nil was the boy.
Nether's around too. Sormal Enat's the leader of them.
Yeah, he's the big boy.
He wears a goat head.
Mm-hmm.
He wears a goat hood?
He wears a goat head. So let's take a pivot into this Shapeshifter city where Fellison, Habark, and Culp kind of sneak in, and we talk a ton about, you know, what this shape-shifting ritual, and everyone's petrified, and they like have, you know, they're out of the desert, you know. Josh, we learn a lot here. What do you think? Are you going to be turn into a shapeshifter anytime soon?
No. Can I tell you my true thoughts when I was reading this scene, because we had the interview with Erickson before we read these chapters. My thoughts were, I don't need to give a shit about this. I'm certain we'll revisit this exact scene in one of the books. One of the books will take.
True?
Yeah. I literally was like, there were so many details that I just fucking skipped, because I was like, if he fucking plants this and we don't go back and watch this happen, then like, what's even the point, Erickson? We're gonna go watch a boat and people get their heads chopped up, but we're not gonna go see a city literally erupt into shapeshifters. There's no way. He's a better writer than that. We're gonna go see it.
Inge, do you think we'll see it?
Another instance of you guys thinking about something I didn't. No.
Well, how much of this whole just did you catch then?
The overarching schemes.
Sure.
I mean, what do you mean? There was the first the idea that there was a world that got erased and then rebuilt, or maybe. I don't know. That's what I got. I don't know why that would be relevant now. I don't know, Peter. What do you mean?
I enjoy that, you know, they talk about 7 cities being like a continent and a location that's like, you know, civilization built on civilization built on civilization. And I think it's, you know, it's really cool that underground, you know, there's this remnants of the first empire.
I swear to God,
What
if we
is the
go
first
back in
empire,
time, I'm done.
That's what I said. We're gonna go back in time and see this. Also, what the fuck's the first empire? What's the first empire? I just don't know.
Yeah, the first.
It's the first time you're hearing about it, and they're
No,
even
it's
joking.
not, because the
Oh my
roads were
God.
built by the First Empire.
Oh, well, that's true.
Oh, that was
Still,
was a guess. That was 100% a guess.
I think they were.
I remember them saying they were built by someone, but it wasn't until this exact moment that I remembered maybe it was the First Empire. But that's all we know.
I just like that. Also, there's a conversation where they're like, well,
Are
because
they
they're
like
talking
Rome?
about the Talani
Are
Mass
they like
too,
Rome?
and they're like, well, the Talani Mass would like to have a word with these First Empire people, because they're like disputing who is truly first.
Well, is this a Rome situation where like, because they obviously had this incredible city and they built roads through a desert? Is this one of those things where like they had this technology that's been lost to time? Like Rome when it got sacked and we lost all that stuff for a long time.
They had.
Well, it's clearly the remnants of an ancient empire.
Okay, thanks for saying nothing, bud.
I'm disinterested. I am disinterested in this plot. I would like to exclude myself from this narrative.
Then we so they're in there, and they've finally found a bit of refuge from the desert sun.
What the heck happened to Haborik? He was like kicking.
Yo, Haborik straight losing
Yeah,
it.
He's not doing too hot.
Yeah. Oh my god, that was my favorite part of this chapter. It was him just being like, now I'm gonna say some crazy shit, and it's all true. Like, what? What?
Yeah, in his fever, he's like telling the past.
Yeah,
Got
that was
it.
weird.
Yeah, he's feeling it. We cut to the Imperial Warren, and Kalam and Kenneb are talking about Manala and Icarium, and tracking through the Warren, and but they seem a little bit lost. Josh, what do you make of this? Or have you found your way within the Imperial Warren?
So my only thought, and because they say a little bit later, is that like I guess Kalam's just distracted. Like it shouldn't be this hard for him to leave. You know what I mean? Because Pearl literally is like, all right, let me hop out of here real quick. Let's murder some fools. I haven't even been to the place that we're about to fight, but I can just fucking get there. So like, if he could, like, I guess maybe
Pearl's with it.
Maybe Kalam's slipping. He's thinking about the kids. He's thinking about. I mean, really, I think what does it is when he finds out about Manala's marriage and like how awful it was. I really feel like that gets to him and probably is the thing that like shakes him up the most and prevents him from like really focusing the way he needs to. I don't know.
But
That being said, that was I mean again, awful to read what happened to her.
Yeah, some dark stuff.
So this is just another, I guess, scene that I don't see the point of. So he can't figure out a way to get out. I didn't even really realize that.
Well, they're talking.
I just thought they were walking
they talk
through.
Well, they talk about in the last chapter. They're like, "Oh, Quick Ben says you
have
like
to
have
think
to
about the place that you
visualize
wanna
where
go."
you're going." Yeah, and clearly
They're just not getting.
Pearl remarks. They're like, "Well, why can't Kalam find his way through?"
Yeah. So I don't know why. I have no idea. This is not so. Yeah. This sometimes it gets a little thick, and I'm just like, I can't. This is one of those moments of thinking.
Well, Pearl and Lostara Yil are on their trail. They dip out. They like fight the Semp Demon, and like we see the battle from that point of view. And
Which was interesting.
they
That was
save
interesting.
Duiker.
Yeah.
And then we also get a glimpse at Apt. What did you think about their kind of slipping in and out and all that enge?
Why are they able to use it so much more like effectively? Can you tell me that?
Pearl is an Imperial Claw, and he's obviously used to using the Warren.
But Kalam was too. So like
that.
Yeah.
And why are Pearl and Lostara like at first she seemed? Does she know who he is? Because she didn't seem like she did in that last chapter, but now they're like besties.
I think he does identify himself as an Imperial Claw, so she knows that as much.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
But I think they're kind of just traveling partners in the moment, Well, let's wrap things up. We've been going for a bit, and but of course the last beat in these section is in Rariku. Everyone's out tracking Apsalar. So maybe we'll what do the two of you think? We're all headed into the whirlwind as it is laughing at them. What do you think's gonna get up in this whirlwind sandstorm going on?
I gotta say, I don't know if you felt the same way, India. It was a really jarring transition into this scene because like we know that they're going to leave the tower, but like suddenly they're just deep in the whirlwind. Well, like why are there people here fighting inside of it? Like, why are there followers of the whirlwind inside of the damn thing? And like, I don't know. It was really confusing to me. I didn't really understand the purpose of them being there. And I mean, I get why the soul taken into Iversar, like they're going there to follow the path of hands and try to become ascendant. But like, I don't know. The whirlwind is so disorganized. The rebellion whirlwind, not the whirlwind physical thing.
You're saying like why these rebels here to get their throats slit?
Yeah, like that confused the hell out of me.
Yeah.
I don't know. And also, I mean, it was just like, how did they get here so fast? Also, why are like, I don't know. It was weird. I guess we'll learn more later. I mean, I'm excited to. It was just it was a weird transition for me.
India, Fiddler speaks about what type of leader Apsalar would be.
Yeah, he doesn't seem very confident in her ability to lead. Well, which I think makes sense because she's like, this is all just kind of thrown upon her. She really never. It's very random that I guess maybe it's not random at all, but for her, it's random to be here. So how would she know how to like lead in any type of way unless she still has some of that? What's his name?
God juice. I think we should call it God.
Cotillion dancer
we should call
echoes.
it God juice.
Yeah.
God juice.
Yeah. It's like, but for what reason should anyone be confident in her abilities?
Well, I think it's just interesting to hear him talk about that type of charisma and to think about different leaders, and I like hearing him think about them.
But why would he mentions like all these people who I didn't know?
Dujak, Whiskey Jack,
except
Dawson.
Whiskey Jack and like Tattersail. But
he's like Tattersail could have been a great leader if she wanted to be, you know.
Maybe she still will be.
Maybe.
Preach.
I also love that the whirlwind is laughing at them. I think that's a very evocative image for me. Before we go out, we're glad to be back on track, and we're going to finish out Deadhouse Gates. We are glad to have Steve on the show, and it was a treat talking to him, but we're resuming our normal course and sailing straight forward.
Hopefully our ship doesn't get caught in a warren, and we have to escape via Undead Dragon.
We didn't even talk about the Undead Dragon till IMS thing, but listen, that's for another day, I guess.
Wait, sorry. Did we skip the part about like Pearl and Lostara fighting?
No. Oh, we briefly mentioned that it happened.
We briefly mentioned it.
Why did Apt help them?
Apt's around. Apt's a chiller.
All right.
Again, India. I don't fucking know. Did Apt kill the Semp? Like, yes. He like fucking devours his tummy.
How did
he
we
gets
not
in that
discuss
tummy.
this? Is it not relevant, Peter? I feel like sometimes you breeze over things that may or may not be relevant for a reason, and just throw me a bone.
I will say it's not purposeful.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
The relevance of things I brush over. It's just I don't know. I'm more just.
I'm gonna pick up on these from now on. These cues that you drop.
Yeah, you can start having a conspiracy about.
Yeah, exactly. All right, moving on. So sorry for the interruption.
We're 10 Very Big Books on Twitter and Gmail, and send us a message. Let us know what you think of the show, or we got a ton of great feedback about the interview with Steven Erickson, and it was great to have people write in about the interview. You know, it's great to hear everyone. It meant a lot. Finally, before we go, as always, India, do you want to hit us with a prediction on the way out?
My head is hanging low. My prediction is that Apsalar is going to get to find her dad, and if it is her dad, and we're going to find out some more stuff, and maybe I have a feeling she's going to be forced into something that she doesn't want to do.
Josh, prediction on the way out?
My prediction is that Kalam and co. will get out of the Imperial Warren, but they may not be at the place that they necessarily wanted to go to.
Interesting.
Yes.
And Kalam and Manila, huh? A little romance brewing.
Just shipping a little relationship over there.
Always a hope.
Ooh. Alrighty. Well, we're. I guess that's it. I've got nothing else to say. That's the show, ain't it?
Yep, that's the show.
That's the show, folks.
Yeah, that's all. Looney Tune song. I know.
Okay.
You know that one.
Looney
Yeah.
Tunes.
Oh yeah.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Damn it! Oh my god.
Can I stop recording? We are so awkward at the end.
That ending was rough today. I'm hitting stop.
Hello everyone, producer AJ here with my bit in its rightful place at the end of the program. Thank you so much to everyone who listened to this episode, and moreover, thank you for listening to the interview with Steven Erikson. We heard from so many of you over the last couple of weeks about how much you enjoyed the interview, about how much you're just enjoying the show, and I have to tell you, it really, really means a lot. Please keep reaching out. We love your tweets, we love your emails, we love it all. Also, our listener numbers have been increasing by the day thanks to you all, and we'd love to keep those numbers growing. You can help us do that by rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts, and if you use a different podcast app to listen to the show, just tell your friends. Word of mouth is the best advertisement we can ask for. And so please do it. As is custom, thank you to Dan Gesrick for making our spectacular logo. You can follow him on Twitter at Dan Gesrick for the hottest takes on hockey's entertainment value as of late. And of course, the incredible music in today's episode is by the one and only Amaranthin from their album Simulant Rain, which you can find along with their other music on bandcamp.com. Links to their pages will be in the show notes, and 10 very big books. We'll be back on December 6th with chapters 13 and 14 of Deadhouse Gates. And as per usual, thank you so much for listening.